What's up, guys? Back with some more RD2L, and after that last game, which was pretty hype in NA Dota, don't really. Well, actually, I haven't casted too much NA or EU Dota recently, but back at it, RD2L in houses, and we had a couple guys in here that were in the last game. Moving Target, Lan Ray, Hype, Solomon Spaghetti, Tricky as well. All played pretty well, and this time we're even gonna have a bunch more players that are better show up here. So. Pink, who's going to be drafting, I believe, about like 5K, something like that. But a bunch of players showing up that are about 4.2, 4.5, 5 point whatever, 5.1. So going to be pretty good to see. Radiant looks like we'll get rid of that Doom first. Like I said, a lot of people do have issues dealing with Doom. They don't really know what to do against it, you know, how to play around the silence, stuff like that. Maybe at the higher levels they do. But it seems like in the in-houses, a lot of people don't want to really deal with the Doom. That change to Scorch Earth was absolutely huge. He feels like the new Gyrocopter. He just outputs so much damage, and he's tough to kill, and it's just annoying to fight up against him in lane. But they will get rid of it on the side of the Radiant, and it will be ALF drafting up against Kyleep. And I'm going to probably call him Summit since that's his name, or that's not his official name. But that's his name outside of lobbies and stuff like that. So easier to pronounce, easier to say, stuff like that. So if I am talking about Summit, it will be Pink, the guy captaining up for the side of the Dire. I think the average MMR is somewhere around 4.1, maybe almost 4.2 gay this game. So we'll be an Undying ban, which happened again last game, and I honestly don't think Undying warrants a ban anymore. Alchemist, I can certainly understand as he's gotten ridiculously popular. The Radiance, Manta, Octarine build is pretty difficult to deal with, incredibly greedy, sure, but as an Alchemist, you can get it all up fairly early on. You can use the illusions to push creep waves, cut creep waves, what have you, and it's really annoying to deal with. Queen of Pain going to be banned out as well. I certainly see that very often. She's probably the best mid right now, if not one of the best mids, and she's got a lot of potential to control the mid to, you know, pretty well every stage of the game. Once she hits level 6, the fact that she's got so much AoE pure damage is good early, mid, late game. We've seen some builds like, you know, Refresher, AC, a little bit of right clip, a little bit of magic damage, stuff like that. And Lena's going to be the first pick from ALF, and I can appreciate this. Lena, one of the heroes that I hate the most because she's so good. They didn't really nerf her all that much to warrant her to fall off this hard, in my opinion. I still think Laguna Blade is disgusting. 850 pure damage is nothing to scoff at, no matter what role you're playing, carry, offlane, support. Doesn't matter. That 850 pure damage is so scary. And picking a Lena first means that your draft is still incredibly flexible. You can run her in the 4 position, the 2 position, the 1 position. You know, you can kind of stick her anywhere depending on what the Dire drafts. And they will go for the Wind Ranger Witch Doctor. And Witch Doctor we haven't seen as much. He's probably stayed about the same in terms of popularity between 6.85 and 6.84. Windrunner, we've seen her get a little bit more popular as a lot of the other favorable mids fell out. Leshrac, not as strong, most importantly, and Windrunner had a lot of difficulty dealing with the Leshrac, as Windrun obviously doesn't do anything for Chain Lightning, but it will be Doterre's Sans Frontiers up against Nameless, the Dire team, and let's see what they're going to pick second on Radiant. I think the fact that they grab Alina, if they can grab something like an Earthshaker or a Tuskar here as well, another flexible hero, I think it makes drafting a little bit harder for the Dire. It means that, yet again, you know, Earthshaker can be played in the off lane or as a 4 position. I think he gets played more as a 4 position or in a dual lane. But they will go for the Wyvern, and this means that now you've got to consider banning the Darkseer. And Wyvern really good against both these heroes already. 2 very strong heroes with a lot of physical damage, and you just throw them in the Cold Embrace. You don't have to deal with that one. I'd say that the biggest issue is that these 2 heroes, Windrunner and Witch Doctor, not that scary with the Winter's Curse. You know, Windrunner does have some right click potential, but she gets a lot of her damage from Focus Fire. Witch Doctor, a lot of his damage from the Death Ward, both of which aren't a big issue during a Winter's Curse. And Radiant, oddly enough, going to ban out the CK, so maybe a respect ban for somebody that I'm not aware of, or they just see how strong that hero's gotten. He has been picked up more. Gyrocopter, Spirit Breaker, as well as Bounty Hunter going to be taken out. Spirit Breaker, Bounty Hunter we saw last game, most likely why they were banned. And Tuskar, surprisingly enough, making it this far. Tuskar has absolutely dominated the NA qualifiers for the Frankfurt qualifiers, and you can see why he got nerfed, but again, he's still so strong. It really doesn't affect him that much. Sure, his laning's a little bit worse because of the mana nerf on, I believe, ice shards, but he still is so effective at pulling people into Tombstone, making these team fights annoying, blocking people off with shards, you know, preventing some damage. We just saw in Unknown versus Cloud9, the Queen of Pain player missed, like, I believe 2 or 3 Sonic Waves because the Tuskar player for Cloud9 was able to grab them within the snowball and prevent that damage. So really a strong hero still. I think mechanically he's the exact same. He's gotten a little bit of nerfs here and there, and the meta has shifted a little bit, but it still favors a lot of fighting. And obviously, Walrus Punch, there's not much more fighting than that. So a really great hero, I think, still. And again, surprised that he would make it this far. Radiant, probably going to have to look at something that deals with the Tusk. I think Earthshaker, yet again, I mentioned it earlier, just as a flexible pick, but, you know, somebody that can deal with the Tuskar. And there it is. It's always so scary snowballing into an Earthshaker, whether it be a Fissure, an Enchant Totem, or an Echo Slam that he can follow up with. You really need to blow him up. You really need to focus on blowing him up. I do like the fact that they have the Rubik, so they don't have to worry potentially about the cask outside of the snowball. But Earthshaker, still certainly going to be a scary hero to play up against here, as the Dire are going to have to grab their next pick. And maybe they're going to look for something that's good at the counter or initiation, something that can play around the Earthshaker, maybe a ranged hero, maybe, I mean, they do have most likely an offlane Tuskar here, so maybe another support, which is going to be really good at zoning out this Earthshaker, as I do imagine it's probably going to be an offlane Shaker. I think he's really still effective at that position, especially at, you know, getting off the block with your Fissure, blocking the creeps, getting a little bit more lane favorability. You can run him in a dual lane with a Lich very effectively. You can run him in just a safe or an off lane solo, and again, it could be a support Earthshaker, but I think if you want to make him as useful as possible against this Tuskar, you find him some farm, you put him in that 3 position, you get him an earlier Blink Dagger than somebody around, you know, a 4 or 5 maybe even, and instead you look to turn around on the initiation of this Tuskar, and you work a lot around on counter initiation. Spectre will be picked up. We saw Spectre last game was absolutely huge once she got that Radiance. It was just so difficult for them to fight. It was a very back and forth game last game, but that Spectre was a huge issue for them to deal with. We've seen that Ritsu hype, a lot of people starting to pick up Spectre a lot more after Ritsu played him, and I want to say when he first played him it was like Nanyang qualifiers, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it was Nanyang qualifiers when they really started breaking out the Spectre, and Envy and Arteezy kind of jumped on the wagon. They really started enjoying the Spectre, and it's certainly become a popular hero since then, especially since 6.85. We've seen nerfs to heroes like Gyrocopter that were so strong for such a long time. I mean, he's banned out anyways, but it just means that even if he is in the pool, you can definitely consider the Spectre over the Gyrocopter. And look at that, Doterre is going to go for the Anti-Mage, and a nice pickup, going to be able to buy them some time, cut creep waves, be really aggressive in the enemy jungle, and depending on how he builds, certainly going to be able to keep up with the Spectre later on, fighting up against the Spectre. And you know, if she goes for something a little bit tankier and starts to return some of the damage, it may be an issue for the Anti-Mage, but it's certainly going to be, I think, still fairly easy for the Spectre late game. The Anti-Mage as well, going to probably have a better time in the mid game, but once we hit that 40+ minute mark, Spectre's going to have a huge issue here. And Radiant looking for their last ban. They do get rid of the Darkseer. Understandable. We're still not 100% sure if this is an offlane Shaker. You get rid of the Darkseer. You get rid of the Vac, Wyvern, Winter's Curse combo. Even throwing a Light Strike Array on top of that. Even the Anti-Mage Mana Void is an AoE as well, so it could be a pretty big pickup. But they will get rid of the Darkseer. Dazzle as well, going to be banned out from the Radiant. So they don't want to put that Dazzle up in the mid lane. They don't want to just be able to have a Dazzle TP into counter gank, and I'm not sure if they would have picked the Dazzle anyways. I certainly think you can, especially with all the physical damage, but I think a support that's a little bit better at roaming probably would have been better, as Tuskar plus a support that's good at roaming is a really potent combo, whether or not he's an offlane or a support. I think if they perhaps pick up something like, who could be good here? Skywrath Mage could actually be pretty good here. Shards are, I think, deceivingly good at keeping somebody inside an ultimate from a Skywrath Mage. You've already got a Wyvern, So you can just ultimate on top of anybody that's cold embraced. You've got an anti-mage, a nice long silence for him. Sure, you've got a huge mana pool, which is an issue, and you're a little bit squishy against that Laguna Blade. But if you play around it properly, your Tuskar's up front, just hitting heroes and kind of making it a little bit difficult for them to get into the backlines, I think it's a pretty good pickup in my opinion. You could even move into something like the support silencer, which we saw core silencer last game, but support silencer, really good at zoning out an Earthshaker. Ancient Apparition, not that bad, does give you a lot of global potential as well alongside the Spectre. You can just toss out that ultimate, Spectre just haunts on top of that and maybe find yourself a kill on the Wyvern or the Earthshaker as well. And it looks like they'll go for the Night Stalker, so a lot of tempo control around the mid game, and it looks like it may be a pseudo for Protect 1. I say pseudo because Spectre is still able to haunt in, but it's going to be a lot of these 4 heroes making space for the Spectre. Windrunner going to be able to fight really early on, whether or not she goes for Aghanim Scepter. She's still really strong power shot. Shackle, 3.75 second stun. Wrap your brain around that. Take a second, think why Ice Frog hates this so much that he would give somebody a 3.75 second stun at level 4 that can latch onto 2 heroes. 2 heroes. How is that even possible? Windrun, 100 mana, what is it, 12 second, no, 15 second cooldown, 6 second duration? That's ridiculous. This hero is so good, and it will be a Shadow Fiend pickup now for the Radiant, and I think safe lane Shadow Fiend, easy gaming. So, will be an off lane Shaker, so it'll be a support Lina. So it'll be a mid lane Shadow Fiend, and the Radiant Shadow Fiend does have the ease of just jumping to those neutral camps. And like I said, a very flexible draft. And Shadow Fiend, I think, I don't know. You know what? I think if you want to go for a mid, you probably pick up something like a Dragon Knight here. Somebody who's a little bit harder to gank. Night Stalker can actually just roll face on a Shadow Fiend fairly easily, I think. The Void is a huge issue for him. You're able to cancel Requiem with Void very simply. You've got a 5-second silence at nighttime, which is disgusting. And if they can really convert off their laning stage, I think the Dire's easily going to be able to take this one. If they can really pressure this Anti-Mage a little bit, get some kills on the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane, it's going to be a lot about converting them in the laning stage, potentially rolling that over towards an early Roshan in the mid game, starting to use a lot of this map control with the Night Stalker, grab the Aghanim Scepter, kind of push 659 out of his lane and out of his own jungle, stuff like that. And this 5-second silence is going to be huge. If they can get a couple kills on 659 thanks to that 5-second silence, I think Night Stalker will pay off in absolute dividends here, as it will be an offlane Tuskar and a support Night Stalker. So I was kind of debating whether or not it was going to be well, actually, you know what? Alright, so both heroes would buy the exact same items, and now, I'm not 100% sure. I think you want to run it a support Night Stalker. He does get rid of his Mango. I think you want to run a support Stalker. Give a little bit more farm to hype here. He can grab the Guardian Greaves a little bit earlier on, which is going to be really important for him. And maybe not. He is rotating up to the top lane, so it may just be... Is it going to be a solo Night Stalker? I don't think so. I hope not. Looks like the Earthshaker. Going to just check out what's going on at the root, but not going to be able to grab it here. Night Stalker going to do the same thing here, as they will give it to ALF. And we'll be both mid laners getting the rune again. So just going to kind of even this one out. Will be interesting to see who wins the mid lane. At about level 4, level 5, Shadow Fiend really going to be starting to dominate this mid game. Or this mid lane, excuse me, up against the Windrunner. And she does manage, or she does decide to scale Windrun first without even seeing anything. I think Power Shot first isn't that bad of an idea. It'll allow you to secure maybe a couple CS at once. Push the Shadow Fiend under tower. He's pretty bad at last hitting under tower early on, but instead, Kyleep is going to go for Windrun first, and it looks like we are going to get a pause. I think Summit lagged a lot last game. Again, for those of you that may just be joining us, Pink, I will be calling him Summit. It's just easier for me to pronounce, and he does go by that, I think, outside of the game, so excuse me. Just had a bit of a coughing fit. I don't think I'm done either. Oh my gosh. Too much casting. Too much talking today, it seems. We are getting a couple little drawings in the mid lane, and maybe they're thinking that they want to pressure up the Shadow Fiend. I think one of the drawbacks to Shadow Fiend is he is a fairly easy target to gank. He's not a Quap, he's not a Puck, he's not a Windrunner. He doesn't really have an ability excuse me, that allows him to just escape a gank fairly easily. He's good at turning around ganks if you can get maybe a TPN, or if you can just get a good position and get a couple raises out, but definitely not somebody that can escape ganks all that well. And he will actually get the first CS in lane, so it's going to be pretty important for him in order to get these early souls. As it looks like it will be a dual lane bot, and it'll be kind of difficult for them to harass them out. Lina does go for the stun first. Soleedus does go for Arctic Burn as well. Tricky taking up the creeps a little bit. Definitely going to need a pull. As look at this, the off lane for the Dire already going fairly well. Radiant as well, so both teams getting a lot out of their off lane in terms of EXP. As since the dual lanes are going to go down, this Earthshaker is going to be getting pretty much uncontested EXP here. As yeah, Spectre's not the worst in lane, but definitely not the best, especially not at pressuring out an Earthshaker. So going to be important to see who can get the most out of the off lane and again convert over towards the mid lane from there. As ALF getting a little bit low in this mid lane. We'll throw out a couple raises as well. Probably just going to try and grab the CS. Maybe look to stack a camp here. Is going to get hit by the power shot. Summit may be thinking about going in with a Rin run, but won't be able to do so. ALF, is he going to go for the stack? Just going to block the creep wave. Not going to stack, it seems, so perhaps being a little bit inefficient there, as he wasn't really doing much in lane. That block's not going to help him out whatsoever. In fact, not blocking probably would have pushed the creep wave under tower, maybe, and that would have meant that he could have had the creep wave a little bit more in favor for himself here. We'll just tango up as Tuskar. We'll grab an Invis rune, and this could be an important rune to find a gank here. Mid lane is getting pinged out. It looks like the Lina is saying go for the mid lane. Or excuse me, the Windrunner is saying go for the mid lane. ALF, he's low as well. And we do have level 2 Tuskar. This is going to be huge. There it is. The stars, the snowball as well. Power shot. Who's going to get the kill? Hype will be able to secure the first blood. And that's going to mean he's going to have a much easier time rotating, as well as a much easier time in this mid lane. Level 3 now on him. So Shadow Fiend, like we said, no real escape for him. And even if you're a Quap, even if you're a Puck, I think it's very difficult to get out of that one. Just an untimely Invis rune and no vision as well from the Radiant to kind of spot that one out. So they will actually look to go on Tricky. There it is, the snowball in. They catch him out with the shards. He has the Light Striker Ray. Will throw it down, and it looks like he should be able to get out of this one. The Splinter Blast going to be enough of a slow to prevent them from chasing Tricky, and that could have been disastrous. Wrong place, wrong time for him. Will be able to turn around on that one and stay alive. Anti-Mage, though, despite being against a dual lane, has actually managed to CL exceptionally well. 20 for 5 up against the Spectre in the opposite lane, who's only 12 or 13 now for 2, so not doing all that well up against the Earthshaker. Tusk will manage to find the kill onto the Lina. Soleedus going to eat a void, but not going to be doing all that much damage. This Hype is going to hit him a couple times. 659 looks like he wants to get in on this scrap, and he will just right-click Land Ray 7 quite a bit, and that's a big issue for him because his mana pool is not that big whatsoever, and even with just the 1 point into mana break, he has a massive issue with that. Kyleep, is he going to be able to get the power shot? ALF going to dodge that one out. A pretty easy sidestep for him. And Summit, unfortunately, won't be able to get that kill. Zap should be aware there's an Observer Ward there now, as creeps do get the vision from those. They do get the global vision, I believe, so they should have known. They did see the Earthshaker there, I believe, and kind of should have an idea. We'll just secure this top rune, and it is a haste. Does the Radiant have vision? I don't believe they've got vision again. The Dire, sorry. Dire does have vision actually here, so they should be able to dodge this gang. Summit playing fairly safe here, and now Zap will just like to probably soak EXP. Goes for the 2 points into Enchant Totem here. Perhaps to just pressure out of the lane a little bit more, and now Solomon Spaghetti could find himself in a whole lick of trouble. There it is, the haste in from the Earthshaker. Look at the damage! Not going to be able to chase that one under tower. You can only imagine what it would have been like if there was a creep wave there. Enchant Totem actually moving target in a whole lick of trouble right now, and it looks like he won't throw out the fissure. Instead, he'll just back off as Spaghetti will throw out the cask. There it is, Coconut not going to continue to jump, and now it looks like Earthshaker will be able to get out of this one fairly easily, even having the Salve bot lane now. Light Striker Ray going to go down on the Hype. He's going to take a couple right clicks from 659, and it looks like the Splinter Blast going to maybe be enough to get the kill. The blink up from 659. Hype will go down, and now it's going to be a 2 for 1. Dire still leading, but that was a pretty massive kill considering how well the Anti-Mage has been farming. Spectre does manage to catch up a little bit after the Earthshaker rotates out in the lane, and I shouldn't really look at the net worth and EXP graphs this early on, as it's not that big of a deal. Mid lane, they are getting a ping out here, trying to do the bottle trick. Wand getting dropped. There's a lot of bottle crowing going on by Summit, and that's how he's going to try and stick, you know, in at least a favorable position against the Shadow Fiend, who now, ALF does manage to find level 5, so he's really going to be hard to push out of lane here. Doesn't have all that many souls just yet. Doesn't really have any stacks either. There's a shackle up. A beautiful shackle from Summit. Does manage to actually miss the power shot, but the focus fire as well as the snowball going to easily be enough to get that kill. And 270 gold now going the way of the Windrunner. Top lane now. Moving target. Wants to chase on a zap. Not about half HP though. Has to be careful of the enchant totem. And yeah, just look at that damage zap. Could probably get a kill here. And not going to go for it. Not going to push it though. Instead, we will get the treads picked up now on a moving target. Does salve up as well. So we'll have plenty of regen in lane here. As looks like Zap used his salve of his own already. Bot lane, we do have the bottle on, or no, just the bottle being given to the Night Stalker by Hype. It looks like now the first night time is going to be used. Tricky, there's the ice shards, the snowball up, we've got a void. Do we have a silence? I don't even think we need it. Crippling fear, not necessary for this kill. Tricky will go down. There's the Splinter Blast, going to do a lot of work though, slowing Hype down. And now 659 is going to want to chase this one. Earthshaker, meanwhile, will get a kill on the Witch Doctor. And with the Arctic Burn, should be enough with the right clicks from the Anti-Mage. Now Land Rage is going to TP out top lane though. Zap doing huge work for himself. Does get the power treads, and with the 2 points into Enchant Totem and the 2 points into Aftershock, this is actually a scary lane. Moving target has to play this one very scared. Shadow Fiend, alright, denying himself to the neutral creep. So, wow, this is really tough lane for him. Is managing to stay somewhat even on CS despite dying, I think, 3 times now? 2 times? But, really, I think just 2 times, but really, the Summit gonna be happy with this one. He's got about 400 gold himself. Phase Boots bottle, full wand here, and look at this, the snowball in on the zap. It looks like the Huskey's gonna rotate in the Echo Slam, the Enchant Totem. Hype's in a lot of trouble now as well. One more Enchant Totem. Hype, what are you doing? There's a double kill for Zap. Are you kidding me? Oh no! Oh no, that is not the play. The Dire now way behind mid lane. It looks like they want to go to Kyleep, but look at that. There's the winner out. Should be able to run away from that one. Light Strike away. Not sure what you're trying to hit with that one, Tricky, but won't be able to get the gank, whether or not that would have hit. And the win run just so useful at getting out of these ganks as they try to start things off with Soleedus. The Arctic Burn, though, getting that mischance, and unfortunately, they won't be able to get the kill. Will secure the bounty rune. Bot lane, Tricky, trying to hold on to the haste for the Shadow Fiend here, and he doesn't even have a bottle. Haste now going to be grabbed by the Lina, and now Land Ray in a whole lot of trouble here. Tricky doesn't have the Light Strike Array for another 4 seconds. Anti-Mage though, 659. He has the Mana Void if he wants to use it. Probably can just hold on to it. Light Strike Array will hit. There's the Mana Void, and now Hype's in here. There's the shards. There's the snowball. Tricky with the haste. Should be able to get out, and now Hype, he has to be careful. Tricky probably could have been a little bit more aggressive with that one. Had the Light Strike Array, had the Dragon Slave. Probably could have turned around and gotten a kill there, but instead, we'll just run away with that haste rune, and no big deal there. Zap goes for the fissure, has the 4 points into Enchant Totem. Am I watching Quakefa? What is happening right now? There's the cast to fly, and it's going to jump a couple times. Enchant Totem, Spaghetti got to be a lot careful right now as moving target. Wants to go for the kill as well. Really shouldn't do so. But there it is. Summit isn't. What? Did that actually not latch? Are you kidding me? The hunted for moving target. Now he's got to be a little bit careful. We still have the Enchant Totem. Power Shot to go out on his Zap. Not going to do all that much damage as he does have quite a bit of HP with the Power Treads. Wanding up here as well. And he even has the Soul Ring. Nice little tread switch from him. Bot lane, meanwhile, it looks like Land Ray and Hype going to take control of this one. As 659 will just move into the jungle and does have the treads as well as his full perseverance. So going to have a lot of sustain to move around in the jungle. Soleedus, meanwhile, rotating over towards the lane. And it looks like the Shadow Fiend wants to do so as well. 659 will start grabbing some of this lane CS. TP's in now. Do we have a smoke or something? I don't know what Tricky does have the full wand. No boots though, and that's really important for them to be able to get a kill, is that they get boots on Tricky so that he's able to run up and at least get a Light Strike Array off. As mid lane, it looks like Tuskar thinking about a kill onto the Shadow Fiend. ALF should have seen him though. And they do even have vision there, it seems. So yeah, the Radiant with a nice ward there is going to give them vision now. So ALF will be able to escape that gank. Is going to rotate towards the bot rune. Hype thinking about doing the same, but won't be able to do it up against Tricky as well as ALF. Although he's thinking about it, there's the snowball in. Not going to be able to deny the rune. Light Strike Ray to go down, and Hype getting a little bit too aggressive for his own good. There's the race to get the kill. And now Summit looks like he's trying to rotate in, but not going to be able to do so, as it looks like Shaker going to be able to get a kill on this top lane Witch Doctor. And yeah, with 1 point into Fissure and 4 points into Enchant Totem and 3 into Aftershock, This is tough. 1100 gold now on Zap, so even though he doesn't have all that much damage coming out of the fissure, the enchant totem's going to be scary. He'll be able to get the blink dagger, and getting level 9 already at 10 minutes in. This is going to be an early level 11, and what is he going for? Is he going for a force staff first? I believe he is, so going to favor that force staff first. Still going to be able to get inside and initiate in these fights for sure. And what is ALF going to be going for himself? Does have an invis rune, did just spend a whole lick of gold, and it looks like he is just going to go for the Aquila here. Power shot going to go down and hit ALF. As Landray really just waiting on that next nighttime. Only about a minute away. I believe it will come around 12 minutes. As pings out mid lane from Summit. Over towards Hype. 659 really jungling efficiently now. 77 and 21. So he's having the time of his life. These are the anti-mage games that when you play, you just like, you have that feeling in the back of your mind and you just know it's going to be a fantastic game. You're just like, yeah, I'm going to have my Vlad's going to be just ratting it up, split pushing, pissing off the enemy team. What are they going to do? They've only got like Shackle. They've got barely any reliable stuns. And 659, he's just laughing straight to the bank so far. So the Dire really going to have to start to play this mid game flawlessly. And they had to get a lot out of the laning stage. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do so. They're going to have to convert, go into a lot of smoke ganks, potentially try to even sneak a Roshan if they can. But with the Spectre, it's going to be difficult. 3 points down to the Light Strike Array. And Tricky has decided to go for the Light Strike Array match. There's the Focus Fire onto the mid lane. ALF going to rotate up here. Does have the Requiem here. And it looks like he is going to Requiem right on top of Kyleep. There's the Snowball in. They will be able to kill Soleedus. And now Kyleep, is he actually going to get away this summit? No, not going to be able to survive on that one. Zap rotates in here as well. Does have the fissure, and he could have used it there. And it looks like almost finishes Force Staff now. Landray in this mid lane. Maybe wanting to get a kill on a Tricky, who's playing quite aggressively here. Shards going to be off mark now. It looks like Earthshaker is being pinged out. Tricky seems like he knows exactly what's going on. And now Zap doesn't have the vision to cancel that TP or get that kill. And instead, he'll just rotate into the lane and secure some CS. Hype finishing his treads. He's got his level 6 as well, so not all that bad whatsoever. But the real story is that Zap gonna almost be completing his level 10. 11, not gonna take that much longer after that. And with a level 2 Echo Slam and a Force Staff, Zap is really gonna be scary. Wyvern will get the denial in the mid tower. Focus Fire now onto Soleedus. Looks like Summit wants to go in on this one. There's the Void onto ALF. Light Strike Array will land onto Summit, but look at that, no damage to follow up. They've got the Laguna, but the Walrus Punch straight up in the air. Lina will go down, and Tricky getting a little bit aggressive, maybe expecting that he had more damage, but Light Strike Array really doesn't offer you all that much. As Battle Fury now 13 minutes in, will be finished up here. Battle Fury treads 13 minutes in, I guess. As it looks like we are getting some weird pings out. They think there's a stack there. It looks like Summit is expecting a stack, and it looks like they're going to look for this anti-mage bot lane, but he's just going to go mid and say, alright, move into the jungle. They won't be able to find him for sure now. And they're probably going to waste a lot of time waiting for him. Although Summit be nice and efficient like the player he is. 659 blinking up. Looks like he may actually decide to go for the Ancients. That's a salve, so could cleave through these Ancients and just salve up after that. Top lane though. Zap. Very close to 11 now. There's the fissure to go out. Just going to annoy moving target more than anything, who is going for the Yasha first, I imagine here. Does have 1300 gold. As ALF. Another Invis rune, and this guy's like the S4 of Invis runes. It seems like they do know exactly what's happening. Moving target will just back up. TP in now from Landray. And they won't be able to find anybody in this top lane. So both teams going to come up short off their rotations. Instead, it looks like they'll just be confident with trading towers. And Sigil going to be used to try and scout out anybody TPing in, but they won't do so. Instead, they may be looking for this mid laner. Landray. Not going to get caught out though. They do see them actually. And now Summit just going to back straight up after that one. They're drawing out exactly where they are. He's going to use the power shot mid lane. He's got to be careful. ALF is there. Will throw out a raise. Won't be able to do much outside of that as the Invis rune pretty much just wearing off. Witch Doctor will destroy a tower in the bot lane. And now Hype is going to grab himself a couple creeps here as well. He's got to be a little bit careful. He's going to use Walrus Punch to secure that one. As Soleedus is hot on his tail here. Tricky. He's coming up as well. Light Striker Ray. Not going to be able to find that one. We'll just turn around after that. And let's have an Observer Ward. We'll place it here. Going to make sure that they've got eyes on Roshan as well as around this mid lane for the summit. Top lane now, Zap. There it is. Level 11 and 4 staff. And is he going to be able to get a kill on Witch Doctor? If he's paying attention to his items, he knows he's got a 4 staff, but it won't take much. You don't even need to commit the Echo, I believe, as Solomon will just back up. Has the cloak here, but that's not really going to help up against the Enchant Totem bonus damage. ALF looks like he's going to be moving into an SNY, and I think the BKB was probably the better option here. As it'll stop the Void, it'll stop the Silence, it'll stop the Shackle. Shard, Snowball, they've got a lot of damage and control in these team fights. Soleedus will just use the Arctic Burn to get over that one. Walrus Punch out on Soleedus. Tricky's gonna walk in. There's the Winter's Curse, and now Kyleep's in a whole lot of trouble. He's gonna try to run away, but what is he stuck on there? God knows what. It looks like Requiem to be channeled, gonna be cancelled though, as nobody else is showing up. Now Landray is just fighting up against Zap here, who's got the Fissure, 4 staff up. There's the Enchant Totem. There's the Fissure. Enchant Totem will just use the Echo Slam instead, and now he might just move on to moving target. Snowball up on his Zap. He's got a mega kill streak, and it looks like he may go down. Yes, he certainly will go down. Witch Doctor are going to get that one, but not before they pay for it with a full 5 wipe, 4 wipe. It looks like Solomon will be able to get a raise off the mark, and they get the Earthshaker. Excuse me, they get the Earthshaker, but they trade 4 for it. And 659. Most relaxed game of Dota ever for this guy right now. They've only got 1 tower, so they're really not getting a lot of map control here. Both teams with a lot of ward coverage and around the mid lane and in the enemy jungle here. So some nice bit of ward coverage from both teams. Really though, this benefits the Radiant a lot more. As an anti-mage player, if you know you're a lot safer in this jungle, especially at nighttime, 3-second silence is really not enough to get a kill onto 659. They need to hit him with a Shackle, which means Summit needs to get a Blink Dagger follow-up after his Aghanim Scepter. And even then, I'm not really convinced that it's going to be enough to get a kill onto 659 here. As this guy's just going to be so strong. Only 1 point into the mana break, which means at level 12, he's got quite a bit into stats. And that's why he's got about 1,000 HP and about 160 odd damage. And there it is, the Vlads as well. And 15% damage bonus as well. And this gives you the option to start creep cutting and really just being the worst player in terms of just annoying the enemy team, being where you shouldn't be, being where you should be. It's just, it's so annoying playing against a really good anti-mage that cuts creep waves and is incredibly efficient. And 659 seems like he's going to be one of those players that's in the enemy jungle right now. Could just walk right by Witch Doctor. It looks like he wants to go for the kill. Now Cass going to be thrown out, but it's not going to be enough to hold 659 for that long. It's going to channel the ultimate, but there's the Mana Void going to be enough to get the kill, to blink out, TP to follow, and it looks like they won't even try to get that one with the Night Stalker. 659 probably could have TP'd down towards the mid lane or something. Didn't have to TP home, but it looks like he was a little bit afraid. Does get the kill, so you know what? I won't hold him to it, and instead, he's almost done the Yasha now. Bot tower, Earthshaker will secure that one. And now we are going to have a haunt up. Where is it going to go? It looks like mid lane. Soleedus in a lot of trouble now. Will use the heal now, and it looks like he could stay alive a little bit longer. 659 going to show up. No Mana Void for 41 seconds. Lina will go down here as well to the Spectre, I believe, as... Yeah, it looks like the Haunt does manage to kill Lina. There it is, 659 gonna get shackled up. The Echo Slam! Zap says, hey, I got my Blink Dagger as well. There's the Fissure to cancel the TP. And it looks like Summit's gonna pay for this one with his life as well. There's the 4 staff up. Not enough for the Enchant Totem, but you don't even need it. Zap, this guy, that was a textbook bait. You know what? That was a textbook Earthshaker play. Zap has been really playing out of his mind this game. And 4K legend. Good old RD2L, and look at that, Zap gonna blink up yet again. Enchant Totem won't be able to catch Landray, or will they? Soleedus looks like he wants to do so. Arctic Burn to try and cover the gap, but he won't be able to do so. Landray, is he actually gonna try to TP out Zap? 4 staff, Enchant, no! Oh. Alright, everybody. Relax, play some RD2L. Have a good time, and looks like we do almost have the full Glimmer Cape for Solomon now. Summit seems a little bit annoyed. Landray and Soleedus, I'm sure not helping all that much. And looks like Radiant really starting to secure some towers. And now I'm afraid to look at this net worth. Oh, a disaster for the Dire. 8K net worth lead. EXP about the same. Oh god. What's RD2L without trash talk? Honestly, I have no idea. Then I'm just playing a pub or something. I don't know. Pubs have trash talk. You know what? Trash talk and Dota go hand in hand, like salt and pepper. 659 gonna go in the enemy jungle. Looks like they do want to go on land raid. They don't want to allow him to just run around during nighttime. Instead, moving target gonna be the target for this one, and he will just TP out. Not going to be able to cancel that one with the Mana Void, and instead, they'll just look in the jungle here. ALF will be able to get a kill onto the Witch Doctor. Summit trying to buy his team a little bit of space alongside Hype with those shards, but won't be able to do so. And now, 659 cutting the creep wave. Getting closer and closer to that Yasha. Did miss that CS, though. I saw that. And now, yeah, playing so aggressively in the enemy jungle, and this is huge. It gives you a lot. Not only are you effectively reducing the farm potential for the Dire, but you're also giving yourself a lot of vision. You know they're not in the jungle. Look at this. Blink up on a land raid. There it is. The crippling fear not going to really prevent him from right-clicking, though, and it looks like 659 missed like 3 times there, I think, actually. So not going to be able to secure that kill. Power shot going to try and prevent them from fighting here. And honestly, 22 minutes in, this game feels all but over as moving target has the defusal, but is it really that important? 659 cutting creep waves, hitting creeps. 238 CS at 220 minutes and 220 minutes. Whoa, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And again, he's playing this one really well. Should probably get off 659's donger and back on his zaps as this guy again has been huge here. Gets a couple kills top lane, a double kill. Echo Slam in that mid lane was pretty huge, and you know he found himself some solo kills, some team kills, and, well, not some team kills, but some multiple kills alongside his team. And this Enchant Totem build, it seemed like really just catching this dual lane off guard, but it really shows how important the laning stage is and how important the drafting portion of it is as well, because if you don't have a good laning stage, you can just abuse it with an Earthshaker, an Enchant Totem Earthshaker. If I would have said that before this game, somebody probably would have just laughed in my face, but really, he just was able to pull apart that lane and completely take control of it for himself. Manta now finished on 659, and there's no way they kill this anti-mage anymore. They need probably a Daedalus over here. Spectre getting really low, but they need a Daedalus on the Windrunner. They need like Blink Eggs Daedalus before, and they need it like within like 10 minutes. Echo Slam, I hear one going off in the mid lane. Zap's in a whole lot of trouble now, though. 4 heroes from the Dire, as well as a Honk going to be used. Zap should pop to the Maledict. Hype's going to blink up. 659. Looks like he's not ready to give up this one just yet. Or maybe he is. We'll back off and just move over towards the Ancients. ALF and 659 looks like they wanted to take that one. Earthshaker's crazy, and yeah, looks like he's getting a little bit too Echo happy here. Thinking he could just solo that one, but with so many heroes around showing up a little bit later on. And yeah, it has been working so far. Top lane, Summit does manage to find an Invis rune. 659, Manta's up, and maybe now Summit kind of lost track of where he is. Darkness going to be used now. 659 will blink back, oddly enough, and now Summit knows exactly where he is. Nightstalker going to jump in on this one as well. Don't use the Crippling Fear. Don't use the Crippling Fear. Requiem going to be channeled. Don't look at that. Buying up some space. 659 is going to blink out, and it's going to be a smoke blank. Soleedus has the Winter's Curse. Will use it as well as the Light Strike Array, and it looks like Summit should go down here. He will throw out the Shackle, but not before the Laguna Blade, as well as the right click from ALF is enough to secure that kill. Blink up from ALF. Wrong place, wrong time, man. Not going to be able to get that kill, and instead, going to be stuck in trees. Soleedus just going to heal up right in front of him, and ALF will blink out. Hype was glimmered up anyway, so probably wouldn't have been able to secure that kill. His moving target has to get out of his jungle now. Does have 2.4k, so managing to find some farm around the map here, which isn't all that bad. Zap is going for the Sage now. Going to give him a little bit more damage with the Enchant Totem here, and he's going to find himself a lot of CS in this bot lane. Fissure to start things off. Enchant Totem to complete it. 659 though. Going to be able to find a kill into the Tuskar mid lane. Good old NA Dota question mark. When in doubt, throw out the question mark, and Zap going to find himself some nice farm while the rest of his team makes the plays here. There it is. Fissure and Chain Totem. It really feels like the Radiant is in complete control of this game. You know, I was saying the Dire had to smoke up. They had to try and, you know, grab a Roshan, grab some objectives, take a little bit better control of the map. But look at that, 15k. I'm sure if they could see these graphs right now, they would probably be out of the game. AM will grab the Aegis, and if you couldn't kill him once, you're certainly not going to be able to do so twice. We'll go for the Basher, and I think BKB Basher is definitely the build that 659 is going to want to go for. There's no way they kill him. You just go for the full man mode build. You blink in, you BKB, you Abyssal this Windrunner, and you just laugh as you kill her. And I mean, now they're going to be ready to push into the mid lane, or whatever lane they want to, really, as both lanes pushing in. Looks like 659 calling for the bot lane here. Shards, snowball up, 659, gonna get stun up a little bit. They do have the Crippling Fear. He's got the Manta, though, just waiting to use it. There's the Echo Slam, as well as the Requiem, gonna hit on absolutely nothing, but it doesn't matter. They blow up the Night Stalker, as well as the Witch Doctor. Arctic Burn zoning out Hype a little bit. Power Shot to try and buy some time, but look at this team. I imagine we'll see a GG very soon here. Spectre has the Haunt. There's the Shackle Shot. Meanwhile, it looks like we'll catch on to ALF. There's the Haunt in. Now 659's got to be a little bit careful still, as the Aegis still the summit. Going to be able to tank up a lot of this damage thanks to that Windrun. Will get soaked into the Snowball, and it looks like Tuskar will be able to get out. Unfortunately, not going to have the same fate for Summit, though, and it looks like ALF will just chase up onto that one and will be able to secure that kill. Blink out in about 5 seconds, so he may not even go down. And it looks like the Spectre trying to split push and farm up, but realistically, a Rack's down. You can get a Radiance, but it doesn't matter. You know what? Alliance did it. I believe these tier 4 players that just banded together this game can do it as well. And you know what? I have seen more outrageous comebacks, so I'm not going to write them off yet. They're going to pop the night. The nighttime. Darkness. Nighttime. Jesus. Long day. Shadowblade now, it will be an almost a completed Silver Edge. The blink up now, it looks like Finish Fast is going to be thrown up, and Night Stalker is just going to buy back. It seems like they've just given it up. Good game. And a 27-minute game. Did not expect that. Outdrafted. There's the Abyssal Blade. Land Rage just going to go down, and good game, well played. It looks like Summit going to end that one with a little bit of salt, but you know what? That's Dota. We only get mad because we love it. And you know what? GG, well played, guys. Soleedus saying it best. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for playing, guys. Take care. Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have my series From Lane to Lane, where I just cast some everyday pubs that you guys send me. I also do some more professional pubs, like games from Koikva, Miracle, whoever I can get my hands on from Dota Buff. I have a learning series as well, so feel free to check that out. There's some more info in the description, as well as some videos linked in the annotations at the end here. Thanks a lot.